Hello everyone. In this video, what I'm planning on doing is I'm planning on walking you through setting up a Google Doc according to MLA standards. So now I'm probably going to move very fast through this video, so please, if you have any questions or anything like that, please feel free to ask, but also don't hesitate to pause this video. I'm probably going to be speaking really fast and going through quite a lot of steps, so definitely pause it whenever you're ready. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, now the first thing you're probably going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and select the correct font. Now the correct font for MLA is typically going to be Times New Roman size 12. Now there is a way to set up Times Roman size 12 as a default, but at the moment it's a little difficult in Google Docs, so that's definitely something I would suggest Googling on your own. I've actually been able to do that for another Google Drive account that I have, but I haven't done it for this one yet. So we're definitely going to have to work through how to do that, potentially at a later date. But if you have any questions about that, be sure and let me know. All right, so now that the font and size are correct, let's go ahead and enter in our information. So without changing anything with the margins or hitting enter or moving the cursor in any way, the very first thing you need to do is type your first and last name. Now I would strongly suggest, let me go ahead and move the outline out of the way. I would strongly suggest putting the name that you are familiar with or the name that you want to be called here, especially when you're going to be uploading this to Blackboard. That way it makes the professor more knowledgeable about who you are and what you prefer to be called. Now speaking of which, once you type your name, you hit enter, and the next thing you're going to be entering is the professor's name or your instructor's name. Now do make sure that you give the professor the correct title. For instance, I'm not a doctor yet, but so you shouldn't put doctor there. So Mr. or professor are perfectly fine with me. However, if you do have a professor who is a doctor, definitely include the title doctor before their name. Now, after the professor's name, you want to enter the class. So include the course and section number if you can possibly. Blackboard has kind of rendered including the section number obsolete, but some professors may want you to include it. I personally don't mind as long as you have essentially the ENGL and the course number within this section. So this is perfectly fine. Hit enter again. And the next thing you're going to enter is going to be the date. Now, when it comes to MLA, the dates need to be formatted in this specific way. So you need to type the day first, write out the month, and then follow that with the year. No comma, no punctuation whatsoever. Right? I'm going to go ahead and hit enter again. And this time, the next thing that's going to come is the title of the essay. And to do that, you actually do need to center the title. So do make sure you use this icon up here at the top in the menu bar, the one that has like wavy sides on both sides of it. And that is where you will type the title of your essay. You can hit enter again, and then you can hit backspace one more time. Now this is going to be where you start your essay. Now the first line of every paragraph in an essay needs to be indented. Typically it's just one hit of the tab button. It's usually going to be about ½ inch from the margin. So this is where, actually let's go ahead and get rid of a second person pronoun so you can just include start essay here. Right? Now, you probably have already noticed that I haven't double spaced yet. So one of the things I can do is I can go ahead and highlight everything with my mouse, or if you want to use a shortcut key, you can either hit Control A for PC users or Command A for Mac users. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Command A because I'm a Mac user, and I'm going to go ahead and look for line spacing. Now for that, you can actually look at these two arrows here. This icon where there's an arrow pointing up and an arrow pointing down. Let's go ahead and select that and hit double. Now the line spacing here looks a little off, it looks a little big, so I'm going to go ahead and click back on line spacing and go to custom spacing. So I want to make sure both of those say 0. Now if you notice they do, but unfortunately sometimes what's here is not actually what it looks like on the page. So I'm going to go ahead and hit apply, And okay, everything looks fine. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that alone. Okay, so but sometimes it doesn't look like the way that it's supposed to be formatted. So go ahead and always hit apply whenever you change those formattings, change any formatting within Google Docs. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and insert a page number. See if I can remember how to do this correctly. Now in Google Docs, all you have to do is scroll down to, go to Insert, scroll down to Page Numbers, and you want it to be on the top right-hand corner. So it's going to be this first option here. I'm going to select that. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure the cursor is to the left of your page number, and then I'm going to type my last name. Now if you notice, this is not in the correct font that we need for MLA, so I need to go ahead and make sure and change that to Times New Roman size 12. Once that is done, I can double click out of the header and voila. There is an MLA formatted document in exactly the way that it's supposed to be. Now I'm going to add one more thing here. I'm going to hit enter once, and I'm going to go ahead and create a works cited page for you so you can see how actually to set that up too, because that requires a couple of different formatting steps. Okay, so here we go. Let's go ahead and see if I can remember how to insert a page break using Google Docs. Okay, apparently it turns out that I didn't remember how to do it, but I paused it, found it, now I'm good. So let's go ahead and go to Insert, and we're going to look for break. So you can either hit Command Enter, which is for a Mac there, or you can hit Control Enter, and that'll pretty much do the same thing. Or you can just follow along with the steps that I'm doing right now. So I'm going to go ahead and click Page Break. Now what that'll do is it'll move the cursor automatically to a new page. That way, you won't have to hit enter a bunch of times, and then if say that you add more text to the essay here and it moves into the next page, and then you've got this weird kind of thing where the works cited title of the works cited page is actually in the middle of the page as opposed to the top of the page. Using page break is going to make things so much easier for you. All right, so once you've done that, go ahead and center the title or center the cursor, and you're going to type works cited. And that is going to be the title of your works cited page. Now we don't want this to be centered for the next line, so go ahead and hit backspace or delete. And now you want an entry, right? So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste an entry that I already have set up. So let me go ahead and copy that. And I'm going to go ahead and paste it here. Now it's not formatted correctly. As you can see, there's actually an extra indent here. It is double spaced, and there's also not what's called a hanging indent. So I'm going to go ahead and do some corrections. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on I clicked on the entry itself and made sure that it was flush with the left-hand margin. Now here's where it's going to be a little difficult. So you can do a couple of things. You can highlight the entry in order to get the hanging indent. And then we can go to Format, and we can look at Align Indent. Now what you want to do is go to Indentation Options, and where it says Special, you want to select Hanging, and then Apply. Now if you notice, there is now an indent on the second line. That's exactly what you want. You want that second line to be indented 1/2 inch, as opposed to the way that it looks up at the top of the page where the first line of the paragraph is indented. So it's kind of like the reverse first line indent. All right, now since I copied and pasted, it does look like I have extra spacing here. So I'm going to go ahead and double check my paragraph settings or my spacing settings to make sure they both say 0, 0, apply. Okay, see, there it goes. Now that extra spacing is gone. So do make sure you double check that paragraph, the spacing options for that, so make sure to get rid of that extra spacing. Most students probably won't notice that, but your instructor will. So make sure to correct those. Now, a couple of things that are unique for Google Docs is that if you don't have Word and you're trying to upload this to Blackboard, one of the things I would strongly suggest when you're ready to submit an assignment is you definitely want to download it. Now, you can download it as a Microsoft Word document and then upload it, but sometimes this may mess up your formatting some. So what I strongly suggest if you're using Google Docs is to download it as a PDF document and then upload that document to Blackboard. Doing that will typically save you from any kind of formatting errors that occur when you switch from Google Docs to Blackboard, and go from Google Docs to Blackboard. So that's just an option that's specific to Google Docs that I've seen that students have faced, or a problem that students have faced. All right, that is a MLA formatted document. One thing I would strongly suggest is to, when you create this document, is to retitle it to something like MLA template. That way, at least you have a template that is already formatted to MLA standards, saved to your Google Drive. Now, once you've done that, you should be able to move forward then with creating your own essay. All right. As always, if you have any questions, be sure and let me know.